Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a full basic tutorial on how to use Adobe Premiere Pro. So first off, what you're going to want to do is get Adobe Premiere Pro opened up, and you're going to be greeted with a welcome screen that gives you either the new project or the open project option. In this case, we want to create a new project, so we're going to hit new project. It'll then bring you to your import screen. So here you can change your project name, your project location. So for our example video, we'll call it Falls Tutorial, and I'll go ahead and choose my location. Okay, so now you have two options for how you can import footage. Your first option is you can use this little media window. You can browse your computer and SD cards that you have connected to grab footage from. Me personally, I don't like this window at all, and I don't know anyone who uses it. So the best thing to do is just to hit create. Now this is going to take you to your blank project screen. So here it's going to look confusing. That's completely okay. I'm going to try to break everything down, and the more you use it, the more familiar you get with it, the better it'll be. So the first thing we want to do is we want to import all of our media. So up here in the upper left window, you have your import box. Now you could double click here and it would bring up your files. You could import that way. Me personally, I like to go to my Finder, drag everything, and then just drop it right in. Okay, so now that we have everything in, we're ready to make our video. But before we get into that, I do want to note that all of these windows up here, everything is movable throughout Premiere Pro. So you can take something, you can drag and drop it, you can create the workspace and make it however you want it to be. This is just my personal workspace. It may differ on your computer just a little bit, just because I have things where I like them to be. You can also go up to the window area and you can go down to workspaces, and then you can, move panels around, put them how you want it. You can save as a new workspace, and then you can load it later, or Premiere even has like color editing, effects, essentials. They have almost like stock workspaces so that you can click on those for whatever you're doing. I personally don't use those. Some people do like to use them. Now, in order to create a video, we need what's called a sequence. So down here where it says drop media here to create a sequence, there's two ways you can create it. So you could either right click in your project window up here, go down to new item and go to sequence. This will allow you to absolutely customize every single setting, or you can just take one of your pieces of footage, drag it right onto your timeline area, and it will create it for you based off of your footage settings. So this is 4K 24 FPS, so it will automatically just set it to that. Now that we have our first video on our timeline, we can drag around here and see the video. So this right here, this little blue line, this is called your playhead. So you'll be using this pretty constantly to move around throughout your timeline and look at different parts of a video. You can also go up here to this little blue arrow. This is your overall project timeline. Sometimes it's easier to use this just depending on the use case. You'll see what I mean later as we go through everything. On your timeline, if you're using a trackpad, you can zoom in and out just like you would zoom in and out on a photo. Or this little bar down here, you can scroll through the timeline and you can use the two little points at either end to zoom in or out if you'd like. Now, since we're doing such a small project, we really don't need to organize anything. But a lot of times what you'll want to do is you'll want to keep everything organized in folders for sound effects, footage, just however you like to organize. Me personally, I like to organize. So in the project window up here, notice how I just have all of my footage kind of spread out everywhere. So you can either hit this little button here that's called New Bin, or you can right click, go to New Bin, and then this will create a folder for you. So in this case, we'll name it Footage, and I will just select everything and drop it right into that footage folder, and it helps you stay a little bit more organized, especially when you're working on larger projects that have 100 clips, 200 clips, all sorts of audio, sound effects, that sort of thing. You can create as many folders as you want, and that will just completely help stay organized. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my footage folder here. Now let's say we want to add a second video to play right after our first one. So we'll take this video right here. Now, what I did at first was I just took the video and I dragged and dropped it right on the timeline. But let's say that maybe I only want a few seconds out of this video. Maybe I want to cut out some of the beginning, cut out some of the end. So if you double click on it, it will create a new tab up here called Source. So this is like your pre-edit window. So you can use the little blue arrow here and drag through the video. So as you can see, the beginning is a little bit shaky, but right about here it starts to stabilize. So I want to set my in and out points, meaning where the video starts and where the video ends. So right here is your in and out points. You can either click it or you can tap I on your keyboard to set an in point. Now let's scroll down the video a little bit. Let's say I want to end it right about here. I can tap O or I can tap Mark Out. Now what I can do is I can just drag the video onto the timeline, and now all this video is just what we marked in and out. So it's not the whole video, just where we set our in and out points at. Now let's say I want to throw a piece of drone footage on the timeline, for example. I can throw that right on there. But let's say this from 15-ish seconds to 17 seconds. Let's say I don't like that part. Let's say I want to just take out that part but leave the rest of the video there. So I can go to where I want to start that cut. So we'll say right at 15 seconds. And then I can go over here to all of my quick tools. Now this is one of the tools that you'll be using the most. Out of this panel, you'll mostly be using the pointer tool, the razor tool, and the text tool. So in this case, we're going to click on the razor tool. So you can either hit C on your keyboard or you can just click it from the quick options. Now we're going to click that. We're going to go ahead and make that cut right at our 15-second mark. We're going to jump ahead about 2 seconds. And we're going to go ahead and make that last cut. So now on our timeline, you'll see 3 pieces of footage. You'll see our beginning part, the one that we just made cuts with, and then the ending part. Now we can click on that, we can delete it, and now we have an empty space in the middle, so we can just click again, hit delete, and it will bring those 2 pieces of footage together. So now we have just gotten rid of that that 2-second part. Now that I have my 2 pieces of footage, let's say maybe this ending one's a little too long and I want to speed it up a little bit. So if I right click and I go to speed/duration, I'll be able to click on it and I'll be able to change the percentage. So right now it's at 100%, that's just normal speed. But let's say I want this video to be 300%. Hit enter and it goes ahead, it went ahead and sped up that video for us. Now, this also works vice versa. So if I wanted to go back to the speed and duration, I could do 50% and now it's slow motion. Now, if you ever slow down a video to, let's say, 50% and it looks really choppy, that most likely means it's recorded in either 24 or 30 frames per second. In order to do proper slow motion, you'll need at least 60 frames per second. That way, if you slow it down by 50%, you'll be at 30 frames per second. I do have a video covering this. It's on my topic of shutter speeds. It will be linked in the description down below. Now that we have our few clips on the timeline here, I want to go ahead and add a transition between the clips so that everything flows nicely together. So if we go ahead and head over to our effects panel, we get a bunch of folder options. So in this case, we'll go to the video transitions and we'll go ahead and use something out of the dissolve folder. So we'll go ahead and grab our cross dissolve. We can just drag it right on the 2 clips and let go. We'll go ahead and do this again for our footage over here. Now what we can go ahead and do is watch it play through and it will have a nice transition between the clips. Now, let's say we want to add some music to this. So instead of having this boring water sound, let's add some music. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my project folder and I'm going to make a new folder. Let's just call it audio. I'm going to go ahead and double click on it and drag my music right in here. Now we can go ahead and drag and drop that right onto our timeline just below the video. So as you see here, you have V1, A1, A2, A3, V2, V3. Okay, so these are all of your video and audio tracks. So you can layer things on here. So I could take, let's pretend that this sound file was a sound effect, and I could put it right below the music so that it plays right there, or I could layer even more for an advanced project. But really, when you're just starting out, you want to focus on your video 1 and your audio 1 and 2 tracks. So if I go ahead and play this as it is, we have both the video sound and the music that I had just added. But if we scroll over to our next clip and we play it, we get this. I don't exactly want to keep that in there. So if we right click on our video and we scroll down to where it says unlink, it will separate the video and the audio from the video into 2 different tracks. Now what I can do is I can just click on the audio from the video, hit delete, and now it's gone. Just like that, our video is starting to piece together. Now, I do want to keep this audio in the first video, so I will just leave it there. Just going to leave it untouched. But let's say it's a little quiet, so I do want to bring up the audio of it. So if we right-click and we scroll down to audio gain, and let's raise it up by maybe 5 decibels, that will make it just sound a little bit louder. Now over here, you'll see this is your audio bar. So notice how this is your decibel meter. So you've got 0, -6, -12, -18, and etc. So you want to try to keep your audio always between -6 and -18, because what happens is if you have it over -6, it will start to distort. So I'm sure you're familiar with distortion. You hear that and it's really, really terrible. So you don't want your audio to distort. You want it to sound nice, crisp, and clean. So keeping it between -6 and -12 will do just that. Now notice how my footage in the beginning here is very gray. That's because of a setting on my camera called S-Log3. So in order to fix this, we want to do color correction / color grading. So you can do this to any kind of video. You can change the color of it. You can make it look a little bit nicer. So in this case, we're going to go back to our project window over here, and we're going to right click, and we're going to go to New Item, then Adjustment Layer. Hit OK, and we'll just drag this right on the upper video track of where our video already is. So we'll go ahead and drag this out between all of our video clips. Next, what we want to do is we want to click on the adjustment layer, go to the Lumetri color panel. If you don't already have this, it'll be in Window, and then you can find the Lumetri color, and just click on it and it'll pop up. But we want to go to our input LUT section. So I'm going to click on it. In my case, I already have some LUTs that I have added here. So I will go ahead and click on the Gen 01 LUT because that's my favorite one. Now once I click on that, you'll notice that we get actual color in our video. So we can go ahead and play it through, and we'll have color throughout the entire thing. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. Now, let's say we want to expand our video layer or expand our audio track so that we can view more. So if we go to our audio 1 track here and we want to make that waveform a little bit bigger, we can just grab on the side here and we can expand it out a little bit. We can do the exact same thing with our video track. It'll make it a little bit bigger and sometimes a little bit easier to work with. Now another important thing to note is our playback window. So up here where it says program and then our sequence name, we have a couple of different options here. So this is your zoom level. So you can zoom out of a video or you can zoom pretty heavily into a video. So for now, I'll just keep it on fit. That way it fits the playback window and it's not too small or too large. Over on the right hand side, this is our playback resolution. So we can either choose full, half, a fourth, or an eighth. For computers that struggle with higher quality video, you'll want to turn this down to 1/4 or 1/8. In my case, I have a lot of things running on my computer right now, so I had just changed it to 1/8 so that it wouldn't lag. A common issue that people see when they're playing through their video is it's not smooth. It's really, really laggy, audio is very choppy, video is very choppy. So in order to fix this, you can go over, set it to a fourth, set it to an eighth. If your computer can handle it, you can change it to full. All this does is that whenever you're playing it, it will just change the resolution of the video that you're currently watching on your timeline. So now that we're almost done with our video, all we need to do is just cut the audio here at the end. Go ahead and delete that excess portion. And we'll go ahead and add a audio transition to the end of it so that it has a nice fade out. So we'll go ahead and go back to our effects tab. We'll go ahead and close out that video transitions. We'll go to our audio transitions. We'll go into the crossfade folder, and I'll go ahead and grab the one that says constant power and put it on the end. I'll drag this back a little bit, and now you'll see right at the end of our video, it will have a nice little fade out. Now we're also going to do the exact same thing for our video just so that it goes together. So we're going to go back into our video transitions, scroll down a little bit, and we'll find the one that says dip to black. We'll go ahead and throw it on the end of our video. Then we'll make it try to match the transition on our audio, and we'll go ahead and play it and see how that looks. So there we go, we have a nice little 18-second video. Now one other important thing I forgot to mention is the effect controls panel. So whenever you double click on a video and you go ahead and go over to your left panel, go to effect controls, this is where you can adjust all of the parameters of your video. So scale, position, rotation, let's say you have an off level video, kind of like this one, it's about a degree or two off. We can go to the rotation, we can mess with it a little bit, and we can go ahead and get that fixed. So maybe 1 degree, about 1 degree, that's perfect, and then we can scale in about 103, get rid of the black borders, and there we have it. The video is now a little bit more level. So you do want to pay attention to your effect controls panel as you're going to be using this whenever you edit a lot. This is something I personally use all the time. This is something a lot of people use when they're using Premiere Pro. So yeah. Now what we want to do is we want to export it so that it can be watched as an actual video and it's not stuck inside of Premiere. So on the top left corner of your screen, you'll see that you're in the Edit tab. If you go over to the Export tab, it will give you a new set of options for exporting the video to your computer. So here is your file name. You can change it to whatever you want. I will just change it to Falls Tutorial. Then right under that, you'll see locations. You can click on that and it will allow you to choose a location on your computer to save the video to. Your preset, you can usually just leave this where it's at on match source adaptive high bitrate. You can change it if you want to. I typically just leave it on match source. You can also change your format of your video here. For my case, I will leave it on H.264. Another thing that I recommend to do, in my case, my camera records at 100 megabits per second. So if you go under the video tab here, and then you scroll down to more, then you scroll all the way down, it will allow you to change that. So it'll give you a standard megabit per second number. What this is it's basically your quality per second. So I'm gonna go ahead and change mine to 100 since that's what my camera supports. Now I'm ready to export my video. So I'm just gonna move my mouse to the export button down here at the bottom right. I'm gonna go ahead and click on it and it will go ahead and export the video to the location I chose to save it at. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped. It was just supposed to be a basic tutorial, so I didn't go into too many specifics, but if you want to see something else on the channel, let me know and I can definitely make a video about it. So without further ado, enjoy your time in Premiere. It can be a really fun experience to learn, but it'll also be really frustrating at times. Don't forget, always save your project every so often. Premiere likes to crash. If you're on Windows, this is usually just Control S. If you're on Mac, it's just Command S. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.